Robert F. Kennedy Memorial Stadium, commonly RFK Stadium or RFK, is a multi-purpose stadium, located near the Anacostia River in Washington, D.C., United States, and the current home of MLS's D.C. United, the AT&T Nations Football Classic, and frequently the United States men's national soccer team. The stadium was opened in October 1961, as District of Columbia Stadium, and was constructed as a joint venture of the D.C. Armory Board and the United States Department of the Interior. It is now owned and operated by Events D.C., a quasi-public organization affiliated with the city government under a long-term lease from the National Park Service, which owns the land. The lease expires in 2038. The stadium has been home for a number of major professional sports teams, including the NFL's Washington Redskins, the American League's Washington Senators, and the National League's Washington Nationals. It has hosted international soccer matches in the 1994 FIFA World Cup, 1996 Summer Olympics and 2003 Women's World Cup. It also hosted a college football bowl game, the Military Bowl, from 2008 to 2012 before that game was moved to Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in Annapolis, Maryland. The stadium was renamed in January 1969 for U.S. Senator and presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy, who had been assassinated in Los Angeles the previous June. RFK was one of the first major stadiums designed specifically as a multi-sport facility for both football and baseball. Cleveland Municipal Stadium, Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, and Bloomington, Minnesota's Metropolitan Stadium were multi-sport stadiums, all of which predated RFK. Metropolitan Stadium opened in 1956 as a venue for the NFL's Minnesota Vikings and the minor league baseball Minneapolis Millers, and became a Major League Baseball stadium with the arrival of the Minnesota Twins in the spring of 1961. RFK Stadium was the first to employ a circular exterior shape. During the Nationals' tenure at the stadium, it was the fourth oldest active stadium in Major League Baseball behind Fenway Park, Wrigley Field and Yankee Stadium. In 2014, the stadium was prominently featured in the climax of the film X-Men, Days of Future Past. History: RFK Stadium was home for 36 seasons to the Redskins, whose return to prominence as a football power began the same year that the original baseball Senators played their final season, relocating in 1961 to Minnesota as the Twins. The Redskins' first game in D.C. Stadium was a 24-21 loss to the New York Giants on October 1, 1961. The Beatles performed their last concert in Washington, D.C., on August 15, 1966, at D.C. Stadium. The team's first win in the stadium was over its future arch-rival, the Dallas Cowboys, on December 17, 1961. This was the only win in a 1-12-1 season, and it came on the final weekend of the regular season. The Redskins' last win at RFK was a 37-10 victory over the Cowboys on December 22, 1996. The stadium hosted its first baseball All-Star game in its first season of 1962, which was attended by Robert Kennedy's brother, President John F. Kennedy, and the 1969 All-Star game, which was played in the daytime, after a rainout the night before. It turned out to be the final MLB All-Star game played during the daytime hours. Another notable baseball moment occurred in a Crackerjack Old-Timers game in 1982, when 75-year-old Hall of Famer Lou Gehrig hit a home run. Although he had a .310 lifetime batting average, Gehrig only hit 45 home runs in 20 seasons. However, because the stadium had not been fully reconfigured, it was just 260 feet to the left field foul pole, far shorter than normal. In its tenure as the Senators' home field, RFK Stadium was known as a hitter's park. Slugger Frank Howard, a 6'7" tall, 255-pound left fielder, hit a number of tape measure home runs in his career, a few of which landed in the center field area of the upper deck. The seats Howard hit with his home runs are painted white, rather than the gold of the rest of the upper deck. Howard also hit the last home run in the park's original tenure, on September 30, 1971. With one out remaining in the game, a fan riot turned a €7-5 Senators lead over the New York Yankees into a €9-0 forfeit loss. However, in its tenure as the Nationals' home field, RFK was known as a pitcher's park. While Howard hit at least 44 home runs for 3 straight seasons, the 2005 Nationals had only one hitter with more than 15 home runs, Jose Gila N with 24. However, in his lone season with the team in 2006, Alfonso Soriano hit 46 home runs. From 1993 to 1999 and from 2001 to 2004, former rock radio station WHFS held its annual festival rock concert at RFK Stadium. Design: the stadium's design was perfectly circular, attempting to facilitate both football and baseball. It was the first to use the so-called cookie-cutter concept, an approach also used in Philadelphia, New York, Houston, Atlanta, St. Louis, San Diego, Cincinnati, Oakland, and Pittsburgh. Except for the stadiums in Houston, San Diego, and Oakland, RFK Stadium ultimately outlasted all of the aforementioned stadiums. However, as would become the case with every other stadium where this was tried, the design was not ideal for either sport due to the different shapes and sizes of the playing fields. As the playing field dimensions for football and baseball vary greatly, seating had to accommodate the larger playing surface. In the case of RFK Stadium, this resulted in the first 10 rows of the football configuration being nearly at field level, making it difficult to see over the players. As a baseball park, RFK was a particular target of scorn from baseball purists, largely because it was one of the few stadiums with no lower deck seats in the outfield. The only outfield seats are in the upper deck, above a high wall. According to sporting news publications in the 1960s, over 27,000 seats roughly 60% of the listed capacity of 45,000 for baseball were in the upper tier or mezzanine levels. The lower to upper proportion improved for the Redskins, with end-zone seats filling in some of the gaps. A complex conversion was necessary, at a cost of $40,000 per switch, to convert the stadium from a football configuration to baseball and back again. In its final form, this included rolling the third base lower-level seats into the outfield along a buried rail, dropping the hydraulic pitcher's mound 3 feet into the ground, and laying sod over the infield dirt. Later facilities were designed so the seating configuration could be changed much more quickly and at a lower cost. The conversion was only required several times per year during the Senators' joint tenancy with the Redskins, but became much more frequent while the Nationals and DC United shared the stadium during the mostly concurrent MLB and MLS seasons. In 2005, the conversion was made more than 20 times. Originally the seats located behind the stadium's third base dugout would be removed for baseball games and put back in place when the stadium was converted to the football configuration. When these sections were in place, RFK seated approximately 56,000 fans. Following the Washington Nationals' move to RFK in 2005, this particular segment of the stands was permanently removed to facilitate the switch between the baseball and soccer configurations. These seats were not restored following the Nationals' move to Nationals Park, leaving the stadium's seating capacity at approximately 46,000. DC United does not normally make the tickets for the majority of the upper-level seating available for purchase, and the stadium's reduced capacity thus is not normally problematic for the club. During the years when the stadium was used only for Redskin games, the rotating seats remained in the football configuration. If an exhibition baseball game was scheduled, the left field wall was only 250 feet from home plate, and a large screen was erected in left field for some games. Some of RFK's quirks endear the venue to fans and players. The large rolling bleacher section is less stable than other seating, allowing fans to jump in rhythm to cause the whole area to bounce. Also, despite its small size, because of the stadium's design and the proximity of the fans to the field when configured for football, the stadium was extremely loud when the usual sellout Redskins crowds became vocal. legend has it that former Redskins coach George Allen would order a large rolling door opened in the side of the stadium when visiting teams were attempting field goals at critical moments in games so that a swelling wind from off the Potomac and Anacostia rivers would interfere with the flight of the kicked ball. Since the stadium is on a direct sight line with the Washington Monument and the United States Capitol, light towers were not allowed. Instead, arc lights were placed on its curved, dipping roof. Seating capacity: baseball, 43,500, 45,016, 45,596, football soccer, 49,219, 50,000, 50,415, 53,041, 53,039, 54,381, 54,395, 55,004, 55,031, 55,045, 55,431, 55,750, 56,454, 46,000. Dimensions. The dimensions of the baseball field were 335 feet down the foul lines, 380 feet to the power alleys and 408 feet to center field during the Senators' time. The official distances when the Nationals arrived were identical, except for 2 additional feet to center field. After complaints from Nationals hitters, it was discovered in July 2005 that the fence had actually been put in place incorrectly, and it was 394.74 feet to the power alleys in left, 395 feet to the right field power alley, and 407.83 feet to center field. The section of wall containing the 380-foot sign was moved closer to the foul lines to more accurately represent the distance shown on the signs, but no changes were made to the actual dimensions. Stadium name: the stadium was opened in October 1961 as the District of Columbia Stadium. The stadium was renamed in January 1969, for U.S. Senator and presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy, who had been assassinated in Los Angeles the previous June. As Attorney General, Kennedy's Justice Department played a role in the racial integration of the Redskins. Along with Secretary of the Interior Stuart Udall, Kennedy threatened to revoke the team's lease at the federally owned stadium until it promised to sign African American players. On April 14, 2005, just before the Nationals' home opener, the D.C. Sports and Entertainment Commission announced an agreement with the Department of Defense under which the military would pay the city about $6 million for naming rights and the right to place recruiting kiosks and signage in the stadium. In return, the stadium would be dubbed Armed Forces Field at RFK Stadium. This plan was dropped within days, however, after several prominent members of Congress questioned the use of public funds for a stadium sponsorship. Similar proposals to sell the naming rights to the National Guard, Pro Funds and Sony were rumored that season, but no agreement was ever finalized. Notable events: football. The Redskins beat the New York Giants 72-41 on November 27, 1966. The 113 combined points are the most ever scored in an NFL game. On December 31, 1972, the Redskins defeat the Dallas Cowboys 26-3 in the NFC Championship game to earn a trip to Super Bowl VII. In a Monday Night Football game on October 8, 1973, Redskins safety Ken Houston stops Cowboys receiver Walt Garrison at the goal line as time expired to secure a win. December 17, 1977, the Redskins defeat the Los Angeles Rams 17-14 in what would be head coach George Allen's final game with the team. October 25, 1981, the Redskins narrowly beat the New England Patriots 24-22 to earn head coach Joe Gibbs his first win at RFK Stadium. January 22, 1983, the stadium physically shakes as a capacity crowd of 54,000 chant "We Want Dallas," taunting the hated Cowboys in the NFC Championship game. The Redskins go on to defeat the Cowboys 31-17 to earn a trip to Super Bowl XVII, where they beat the Miami Dolphins 27-17 to claim the franchise's first Super Bowl win. September 5, 1983, Redskins rookie cornerback Darrell Green chases down Cowboys running back Tony Dorsett from behind to prevent him from scoring. However, the Redskins ended up losing late in the fourth quarter. November 18, 1985, Giants linebacker Lawrence Taylor sacks Redskins quarterback Joe Theismann, severely breaking his leg and ending his NFL career. Backup quarterback Jay Schroeder comes in and leads the Redskins to a 23-21 victory on Monday Night Football. January 17, 1988, cornerback Darrell Green knocks down a Wade Wilson pass at the goal line to clinch a victory over the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship game. The Redskins go on to defeat the Denver Broncos 42-10 in Super Bowl XXII. January 4, 1992, in a pouring rain, the Redskins beat the Atlanta Falcons 24-7 in the divisional round of the playoffs. After a touchdown scored by Redskins fullback Gerald Riggs with 6:32 remaining in the fourth quarter, the fans shower the field with the free yellow seat cushions given to them when they entered the stadium. January 12, 1992, the Redskins beat the Detroit Lions 41-10 in the NFC Championship game, earning a trip to Super Bowl XXIV where they beat the Buffalo Bills 37-24. As of the 2013 NFL season, the Redskins have not hosted or played in another NFC Championship since the victory over Detroit. December 13, 1992, Redskins head coach Joe Gibbs coaches what would be his last win at RFK Stadium. The Redskins defeat the Cowboys 20 December 17, 1996, the Redskins win their last game in the stadium, defeating their arch-rivals, the Dallas Cowboys, 37-10. In a halftime ceremony, several past Redskins greats were introduced, wearing replicas of the jerseys of their time. After the game, fans storm the field and rip up chunks of grass as souvenirs. In the parking lot, fans are seen walking away with the stadium's burgundy and gold seats. December 20, 2008, Wake Forest defeats Navy 29-19 in the inaugural Eagle Bank Bowl, before a crowd of 28,777, in the first bowl game to be played in Washington, D.C., December 29, 2009, UCLA defeats Temple 30-21, before a crowd of 23,072, in the second annual Eagle Bank Bowl. December 29, 2010, Maryland defeats East Carolina 51-20, before a crowd of 38,062, in the 2010 Military Bowl, formerly the Eagle Bank Bowl. Great fan turnout from both universities set a bowl attendance record in Maryland coach Ralph Ryagen's final game. Baseball. April 9, 1962, the Washington Senators defeat the Detroit Tigers 4-1 in the first baseball game played in the stadium. President John F. Kennedy throws out the first pitch. June 12, 1967, the Senators defeat the Chicago White Sox 6-5 in the longest night game in Major League history to that time. The 22-inning game lasts 6 hours and 38 minutes and ends at 2:43 a.m., September 30, 1971. In the Senators' final home game, the Senators led the New York Yankees 7-5 with 2 outs in the top of the ninth. After an obese teenager runs onto the field, picks up first base, and runs off, fans storm the field and tear up bases, grass patches, and anything else they can find for souvenirs. The Senators are ruled to have forfeited the game, 9-0. July 19, 1982, at a Cracker Jack old-timers exhibition game attended by over 29,000 fans, 75-year-old Luke Appling hit a home run against the National League's Warren Spahn. April 14, 2005, the Washington Nationals defeat the Arizona Diamondbacks 5-3, before a crowd of 45,596, to win their first game in Washington, D.C. They go on to sweep the 4-game series. September 16, 2006, Washington Nationals' Alfonso Soriano steals second base in the first inning of the game against the Milwaukee Brewers to become the 4th player to hit 40 home runs and steal 40 bases in a season. September 23, 2007, Washington Nationals defeat the Philadelphia Phillies 5-3, before a crowd of 40,519, in the final baseball game played at RFK Stadium. The win gives the Nationals an overall record of 122-121 in 3 seasons at the stadium. Soccer. September 21, 1980, in the Soccer Bowl 80, before a crowd of 56,768, the New York Cosmos defeated the Fort Lauderdale Strikers 3-0. August 21, 1993, AC Milan defeats Torino FC 1-0 to win their second consecutive Supercoppa Italiana. July 2, 1994, the 1994 FIFA World Cup concludes its play in RFK as Spain defeats Switzerland 3-0 in the round of 16. June 18, 1995, in the U.S. Cup the United States defeats Mexico 4-0, with goals by Roy Weigel, Thomas Dooley, John Harkes and Claudio Reyna. July 24, 1996, soccer at the 1996 Summer Olympics includes the final match for the U.S. side, which needed a win against Portugal to advance out of group play, but tied 1-1. Attendance for the U.S. match versus Portugal was 58,012 €, the largest crowd ever for a sporting event at RFK Stadium. October 30, 1996, 10 days after winning the first Major League Soccer title, DC United defeats the Rochester Raging Rhinos 3-1 in the U.S. Open Cup Final, achieving the first double in American soccer history. October 26, 1997, DC United defeats the Colorado Rapids 2-1 to win their second consecutive MLS Cup. August 16, 1998, DC United defeats CD Toluca of Mexico 1-0 to win the CONCACAF Champions Cup, becoming the first American team to do so and marking their first victory in an international tournament. October 15, 2000, the Kansas City Wizards defeat the Chicago Fire 1-0 to win their first MLS Cup. April 14, 2001, the Washington Freedom defeat the Bay Area Cyber Rays 1-0 in the inaugural match of the Women's United Soccer Association. August 3, 2002, in the MLS All-Star Game, a team of MLS players defeat the U.S. men's national team 3-2. DC United midfielder Marco Echeverri is named MVP. July 30, 2003, Ronaldinho makes his debut for FC Barcelona against AC Milan in a pre-season tour of the United States. Ronaldinho had a goal and an assist as Barcelona defeated defending European champion Milan 2-0 in an exhibition game that drew 45,864 to RFK Stadium. April 3, 2004, Freddie Ade debuted with DC United at RFK with a capacity soccer crowd of 24,603. November 6, 2004, DC United win the Eastern Conference Final by tying the New England Revolution 3-3 and advancing on penalty kicks in what is generally regarded as one of the greatest games in MLS history. They would go on to defeat the Kansas City Wizards 3-2 in the MLS Cup. August 9, 2007, David Beckham debuts for the MLS Los Angeles Galaxy, losing to home team DC United before a sellout crowd of 46,686 fans, the fourth largest to watch MLS at RFK Stadium. September 2, 2009, Seattle Sounders FC defeats DC United 2-1 in the 2009 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup Final. This marked the first of Seattle's record tying 3 consecutive Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup titles. October 23, 2010, Jaime Moreno scores on a penalty kick in his final game as a DC United player to retire as the all-time leading scorer in MLS history. United would lose the match, 3-2, to Toronto FC. June 19, 2011, quarter-final of 2011 CONCACAF Gold Cup, USA vs Jamaica. US defeats Jamaica 2-0 and moves on to the semi-final. In the second game of the doubleheader El Salvador played Panama to a 1-1 tie. Panama won in a shootout in front of 46,000 people. June 2, 2013, the United States defeated number 2 ranked Germany 4-3 in a friendly commemorating the 100th anniversary of the U.S. Soccer Federation, 1993 Supercoppa Italiana. 1994 FIFA World Cup matches, 1996 Olympic football men's tournament matches. 1996 Olympic football women's tournament matches. MLS Cup 97. MLS Cup 2000. 2002 MLS All-Star Game. 2003 FIFA Women's World Cup matches. 2004 MLS All-Star Game. MLS Cup 2007. 2009 CONCACAF Gold Cup matches, 2011 CONCACAF Gold Cup matches, United States men's national team matches. The United States men's national soccer team has played more games at RFK Stadium than any other stadium in the world. Some have suggested that due to the nature of RFK and its quirkiness that it would be a suitable national stadium if U.S. soccer were ever to seek one out. Several prominent members of the national team have scored at RFK including, Brian McBride, Kobe Jones, Eric Inalda, Joe Max Moore, Clint Dempsey, Michael Bradley, and Landon Donovan. Winners are listed first. Boxing, May 22, 1993, Riddick Bowe records a second-round knockout over Jesse Ferguson to retain his WBA heavyweight title. Roy Jones records a unanimous decision over Bernard Hopkins to capture the vacant IBF middleweight title. Attendance, 9,000, concerts. Motorsports, on July 21, 2002, the American Le Mans Series held its first event in Washington, D.C. The National Grand Prix was run on a temporary circuit laid out in the RFK Stadium parking lot, and was the first major motorsports event held in the District of Columbia in 80 years. Originally a 10-year agreement was signed to host the race on a yearly basis. However, due to noise complaints from local residents, the contract was cancelled after the first edition and the event has not been run since. Volunteer service, on January 19, 2009, the day before the presidential inauguration, a day of service for our military was held at RFK Stadium as a part of the Martin Luther King Jr. National Day of Service. This was a joint operation by Serve DC and Operation Gratitude. At this event, 12,000 volunteers made over 80,000 care packages for American troops overseas. Washington Hall of Stars. During the Redskins' tenure, the Washington Hall of Stars was displayed on a series of white and red signs hung in a ring around the stadium's mezzanine, honoring D.C. sports greats from various sports. With the reconfiguration of the stadium, it was replaced by a series of dark green banners over the center field and right field fences in order to make room for out-of-town scoreboards and advertising signage. There are 15 separate panels honoring 82 figures. Nationals Park also hosts a smaller version of the display. Panel 1, Redskins football players Cliff Battles, Charlie Taylor, Bobby Mitchell, Chris Hanberger, Jerry Smith, Len Horse, Sammy Bohr and Pat Fisher. Panel 2, Redskins Brigadier Owens, Larry Brown, Sonny Jurgensen, team founder-owner George Marshall, Vince Lombardi, Dave Butz, Art Monk and Dick James. Panel 3, Redskins Vince Promuto, Russ Grimm, Joe Jacoby, Mark Mosley, Doug Williams, John Riggins, Coach George Allen and Ken Houston. Panel 4, Redskins Joe Theismann, Billy Kilmer, Wayne Milner, Sam Huff, Gene Brito, Eddie LeBaron, Charlie Justice and Bill Dudley. Panel 5, Edward Bennett Williams, Arthur Dutch Bergman and Jack Kent Cook. Williams and Cook were Redskins owners. Bergman coached in D.C. at the Catholic University of America, and then ran the corporation that lobbied for the building of RFK Stadium. Panel 6, New Senators manager Gil Hodges, Old Senators player and manager Joe Cronin, New Senator Frank Howard, Old Senator owner Clark Griffith, and Old Senators Goose Goslin and George Case. Panel 7, Josh Gibson, Bucky Harris, Walter Johnson, Chuck Hinton, Eddie Yost and George Selkirk. Gibson played for the Homestead Grays of the Negro Leagues. Harris, Johnson and Yost played for the Old Senators. Harris also managed the Old Senators. Hinton played for the New Senators. Selkirk, who played for the Yankees, was the general manager of the New Senators. Panel 8, Old Senators Mickey Vernon, Roy Sivers, Cecil Travis, Early Wynn, Joe Judge, Harmon Killebrew, Ossie Bluge and Gray star Walter Buck Leonard. Vernon also managed the New Senators. Panel 9, Basketball figures Bones McKinney, Arnold Red Auerbach, Abe Pollin, Bob Ferry, Phil Chenier, Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes. McKinney played for the NBA's Washington Capitals. Auerbach played in D.C. for George Washington University and coached the Capitals. Polin owned the Baltimore Bullets and moved them to Washington, where they became the Capital Bullets, Washington Bullets, and now the Washington Wizards. He also founded the NHL's Washington Capitals and built two area arenas, the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland and the MCI Center in downtown Washington. Ferry played for the Bullets in Baltimore and was their general manager in Washington. Chenier, Unseld and Hayes played for the Bullets in both cities. Unseld later coached them. Panel 10, Olympic swimming gold medalist Melissa Belote, broadcaster Jim Gibbons, and golf figures Lee Elder and Dean Beman. Panel 11, Capitals hockey star Rod Langway, tennis players Pauline Betts-Addy and Donald Dell, and jockey Sonny Workman. Panel 12, boxers Bobby Foster, Marty Gallagher, Holly Mims, Sugar Ray Leonard and Steve Mamakos. Panel 13, soccer player Theodore Ted Chambers, soccer player and coach Gordon Bradley, sports writers Morris Mo Siegel and Shirley Povich, and Griffith Stadium and RFK Stadium public address announcer Charles Brotman. Panel 14, Heroes of September 11th. To the right of Panel 15 are four banners honoring DC United's MLS Cup wins, 1996, 1997, 1999 and 2004. To the right of these banners is DC United's Tradition of Excellence banner, which honors John Harkes and Marco Echeverri. To the left of those banners are four banners honoring DC United's MLS Supporters Shield wins, 1997, 1999, 2006 and 2007. Public transportation, RFK Stadium is within a half-mile and easily accessible from the Stadium Armory station of the Washington Metro. The station is served by the Blue, Orange, and Silver lines. It is also served directly by Metrobus lines B2, D6, E32, 96 and 97. Food vendors, RFK Stadium is home to such eateries as Fourscore Grill, the Diamond Club, Dominic's of New York, Stars and Stripes Brew, Red, Hot and Blue Bar Beck, AR Seafood, Cantina Marina, Tenants, Current, DC United, former, Washington Redskins, Washington Federals, Washington Senators, Washington Diplomats, Washington Darts, Washington Freedom, Washington Whips, Washington Nationals. The George Washington University football team played there until it was disbanded in 1966. Military Bowl, a Euro part-time, gallery. References. External links, DC United RFK Stadium page, brief history of RFK Stadium, Washington Convention and Sports Authority RFK venue site, Remembering RFK is a truly multi-purpose stadium.